Hey folks, I'm just leaving the office here. As predicted, for Fancy Wednesday, no one else dressed up for Fancy Wednesday. Doesn't feel very good, you know? That's okay. I felt good. Felt good to dress in my fancy clothes. No one said, hey, where's the job interview? Which is it's a nice change from previous attempts in the past at wearing nicer clothes. For today, I actually don't have a topic from experienced devs. I kind of looked. We've exhausted Reddit. I'm just kidding, but like on experienced devs, there was nothing good. There was one topic that I thought would be good, but it's not good if I'm driving because we'd have to do an analysis of this person's interactions with their manager. And I was like, oh, this will be good. But as I'm scrolling, I'm like, man, there's too many specific things, and I would need to have the list in front of me and we could talk through it. But interesting read if you want to go check it out. Maybe after some Code Commute episodes, you can go do your own analysis. And really, this person's talking about a manager that's kind of new to their team. Seems like a pretty small team, right? Like we're talking, it's like a handful of people. And manager's just doing all of the things that I would say are like not good as a manager. Like there wasn't one thing I read where I was like, oh, at least they're doing that. Everything was like pretty shit. So I think it's an interesting read. I have seen this kind of thing just happen with, ICs as well, but I think it's even more negatively impactful when you stack on some of the management expectations there as well. So just, little bit of preview into that. It was like, they're staying, the manager's like staying up late to go code stuff, and I'm like, hey, they're contributing, but it's like they approve their own pull requests that are like hundreds of files. They don't get reviews from anyone. They don't write documentation on anything. They're refactoring the code base for like stuff that the team has agreed is like not a valuable use of time. They don't show up to meetings. Like just, it seems like a bit of a cluster. So yeah, I don't know. I think even if you if you go read through it on experienced devs, probably something interesting for you to take away from that. Again, you might not have, I've never had a manager that was quite that ridiculous, but I've definitely seen people on different teams and stuff where I'm like, some of those boxes are being checked. But anyway, yeah, we're not going to go to experienced devs. I don't have any pending questions. I figured do another kind of like, I don't know, just a blab fest video about like things I got going on, things that are top of mind for me. By the way, some people don't know this. I have another YouTube channel. I actually had another vlog channel where I was doing like, and I stopped for a while, but I was doing like weekly check-in videos, like 8 to 12 minutes kind of thing, mostly, and just doing like a recap of the week. And I was doing that mostly for myself. There's almost like no subscribers to that channel, which is totally fine. But kind of like, I'm hoping that one day, like I've never had a journal or anything like that. I'm hoping one day that I don't know, either from content creation or building stuff on the side, that I can look at that one day and be like, hey, remember when I was going through some of that shit, and like we had failures, we had ups, we had downs, like all that kind of stuff. So it's a little digital journal entry. So those are kept really high level. And I figured maybe if I start blabbing here, there'll be something interesting where I'm like, hey, we can talk more about some software development stuff in particular. So I think something that's top of mind for me, and I was talking about this a little bit earlier I guess it was a video this morning. I think I did 3 videos this morning, so this is a 4th video today, which is nuts. But the video I was talking about this morning was around like AI tools, and we talked primarily about the usage of AI tools, like especially as developers. You got your cursor, you got your Claude, you got your Copilot, you got your this, you got your that, and the thing that we just started to touch on was like around creation of tools. Like, you know, you're a development team. How are you using AI in your development aside from the tools that come off the shelf? Like how are you incorporating that into different parts of your workflow? And so obviously, like if I work at Microsoft, so there's some things we kind of just get. So like Copilot is everywhere, right? So we have our Copilot in our IDEs. We have Copilot in Teams. We got Copilot in all of our Office stuff. And then we have, like, we don't have, I guess they did switch it over to GitHub Copilot, but like our teams are using Azure DevOps. And so originally when GitHub Copilot was getting really going, we didn't have that. So like we had a different agent in DevOps, and like I'm just going to be totally honest, like from using I love using GitHub Copilot. I think it's great for my use case. Obviously, like with all these AI tools, like it definitely screws up. It definitely gets me frustrated. But from using that in my experience, like in my own development, I gotta pass this person. It's crazy. Going crazy under the speed limit. I'm like, are we stopped here? But yeah, for my own development, using GitHub Copilot and then using what we had initially with Azure DevOps, it just felt like, what are we doing here, man? Like, this is crazy. And I feel like it's because we didn't have reasoning models hooked up or something. Like, that was a big part of it. So I feel like they've transitioned over. I actually see that it says GitHub Copilot on the pull requests and stuff. So I think they're using the same agent now. But anyway, we got all this kind of stuff internally, but like we got a lot of live services going, right? So one of the things I talked about this morning was that when it comes to building like AI tools for internal development, there's a lot of people gravitating towards like, well, if we have an agent to do whatever, an agent to do this, an agent to do that. But what seems to happen, and I talked about growing pains and stuff this morning, I think like what's seemingly happening is that we got people that are like, I'm going to build an agent, and then everyone has a custom one-off agent for everything, because like the agent is seemingly the vehicle for the task. But then you end up in this spot where you're like, why do I have to go talk to like 100 different agents individually? I'm obviously exaggerating, but like maybe in some places it is like that. So really, like I'm trying to, at least in our part of the org, do a bit of a push for like, how do we get on the same page here, folks? Like, it's really cool that everyone has been trying to find opportunities to like, we can leverage AI, we can make certain processes easier, especially for like when you're running a live service and just trying to correlate information. Oh my goodness, there's like, even we have like a chat bot that can do like some like minimal correlation of incidents and stuff. So we have, I'm saying incident, that's a very loaded word, like a monitor fires, right? So incident. So when we have some monitors firing, it can do like very, very simple correlation to be like, hey, last time this fired, like, here's what people looked at, right? Like, just to get the on-call engineer kind of a step in the right direction. Is it always right? Like, absolutely not. Like, the last time that thing fired could have been for a completely different reason. But you know what? I found that even when it's like, hey, you might want to look at this as an example, there's some things that fire when I'm on call because our surface area is so big. I'm like, I've never seen that before. I don't know what that monitor is. And so having a couple of examples to go look that are similar, I'm like, hey, that's actually, I appreciate that. If I go looking and I investigate a little bit, sometimes I'm like, that wasn't actually helpful, but I can certainly appreciate being pointed in a potential direction. So that's like a very, very simple example. So it's cool that people have been starting to put these things together, but like, we start to hit limits. And so I'm trying to move us in the direction of like, cool, if we want to go extend that, if we want to go build more, I don't want the answer to be like, well, let's just go make one more agent to go do X. We'll have another agent to go do Y. Like, the example I have that's painful, that's like a parallel to this, and it might not seem obvious, is like, we have a lot of dashboards, right? So we have huge live service, lots of like metrics, so therefore lots of dashboards for us to go check on things, lots of monitors hooked up to those. But when you have dashboards that are across a couple of different systems, if you know the area that you're working in and you're like, I know the dashboards we use are like here, then fine. Like, no worries. Like, it's your domain, you got it down, awesome. But especially when you're on call and you're like I was giving you the example, something fires and you're like, I don't know what this alert's for. Like, oh, that's like one of our other sort of like sub teams. Okay, well, I'm on call, I have to go figure it out. And so you start looking around. Oh, bad move. Okay, well, let's not do that ever again. Crazy. Yeah, I'm in the fast lane. Someone decided they also wanted to be in one of the fast lanes, but decided they were not going to go even the speed limit, so that was cool. What was I saying before everyone almost died? Alert, oh, dashboards, yeah. So we've got these awesome dashboards, but if you're like, I don't know this space, like, okay, well, there's like 3 or 4 spots we could have dashboards. And you don't even know what to look for in the first place. So you're like, you know, you start looking and you're checking out one spot and you're like, I don't know, man, like there's nothing good here. But you don't realize that the other sub team like has really good charts and dashboards in this other spot. And then you kind of do some of your on call and you're getting frustrated. And then someone's like, oh, why didn't you just look at this dashboard? And you're like, oh my God, like, oh, like I wish I knew. So like we've been doing a lot of work to like document this stuff, make it more obvious for on-call engineers, but the surface area is huge. So discoverability is a challenge. And in my mind, the more agents we have that are like single purpose, we're gonna run into a discovery challenge where it's like, well, if I'm already talking with this agent, why do I have to go talk to this one or this one or this one? Like now my time is being split across all these different conversations. Like we're just gonna have disparate data challenges in a weird format. So I want to make a bit more of a push for like, you know, build your tool, and then if it's you know, whether that's an MCP server, whatever else, build things in a way that we can have agents hook up to them so we don't have to go add one more agent every time. We already got agents. The agent should, in my opinion, should not be the vehicle for every single thing. So try to do a bit of a push on that. But you know, one of the challenges with this kind of thing is like the scale of the organization, right? So I'm not the person like in charge of that for what it's worth. I'm not. I'd love to be able to sit here and say like I'm making this decision for like thousands of people. I'm not. And the way that this is going right now is like on purpose. We've kind of been put in this position where it's like there isn't just one right way because we are going through some growth with this, right? There's a lot of stuff that's rapidly evolving. So we've been kind of given some freedom to be like, hey, like find things that are working, experiment, explore. So that's really cool. And I feel that we're reaching this point where it's like, okay, like we have been doing a lot of experimenting. How do we start unifying a little bit more, right? we should continue to experiment, explore, learn lessons, but I think that there are lots of lessons being learned that we have to start pulling together. So when you think about the size of the org that we're working in, and like, again, for transparency, I work at Microsoft. I don't work in Azure. I don't work in Xbox. I don't work at LinkedIn. I don't work in one of the million different business areas of Microsoft. I mean, sorry, I don't work in all of those. I work in one of them, right? Like I work in Office 365 or Microsoft 365, right? So, and then within that, I work on one team within Microsoft 365. So it's a big org. And I'm just trying to, I guess, like, get on the same page as some of the other engineering managers that are also kind of observing this and being like, how are you looking at solving this problem? Because we should start to partner on this to make sure that, like, let's start sharing our lessons and sharing our common approach. Because some teams are having a lot of success with it because they have started to find an approach where they're like, oh, hell yeah, like this is working for us. And that's super cool, super awesome. And instead of having every other team, like I know there's multiple teams like this, but instead of having all these other teams like start from scratch, these other teams have already been kicking ass at it. So like, you know, give them some more clear direction, right? So as an example, it's like, you want to have an MCP server, okay. What, like, where does that go? Like, can we just check that in to which repository? Any repository? Or like, in some cases, it's like we need to run a service for something. It's like, okay, well, what's the expectation for that? Do we do it the same way that we do all of our other services? So like, do I go through an onboarding process that's the same as the other services that we run? If so, like, great. Like, I used to manage one of the sub teams that did deployment of those services. Like, cool. If that's the strategy, no worries. Like, I know who to go talk to. We'll get it going. But I actually don't know if that's been established yet, or if some of the teams having success with this stuff have started leaning into some of those patterns. So I'm just trying to go through some discovery with that. And yeah, kind of excited because I think that's one of the limiting factors right now is that when people start experimenting, they're hitting some roadblocks and they're going, cool, if I want to make this the real deal, like, I actually don't know what I'm allowed to go do. Because there's a ton of security stuff, there's a ton of privacy stuff, there's a ton of what feels like red tape if you're someone like me that comes from, you know, startup world. I'm always like, that's where my heart is, right? Like, I'm always going to think of myself as someone who operates in a tiny company. It's just like, that's a very natural way for me to go look at things. And so in comparison, there's tons and tons of red tape. Is it warranted? Like, absolutely yes. Because I work in a space now where, like, literally security is the thing that is top of mind. So I have a lot different perspective that I'm trying to balance out, because previously I'm like, oh, like all this red tape, like this sucks, like everything, like it makes it feel so slow, it's such a pain in the butt. But like, I have more and more perspective as to why there's certain types of red tape. Obviously there's some things where I'm like, this just feels like red tape because we're a big company and things move slower. But in other cases, I'm like, wait, like, if we don't have, you know, I'm just imagining this, right? Like, what, we haven't established security guidelines for that? Okay, well, what are you expecting is going to happen? Because we have crazy, crazy amounts of security guidelines for everything else. So like, we just don't for this? Like, that doesn't seem right. So I'm trying to figure out like where this stuff is so that I can talk to my team about it. I can say, hey, you want to go build something like this? No problem. I can put you in the right direction. So I was talking with some people from my previous team. They've been having a lot of success with building some tooling out where you know, partner teams can do even more like self-service. You want answers to things. you know, you can use some of what this other team is building. And I'm like, hey, that's so cool, because we've been having this really big push to make our on-call lives better. The team has done such a tremendous job on this kind of stuff. Like, just, you know, I can't go into, like, obviously specific details, but there's been different points in time where on-call rotations were so hectic, and like, not because everything's actually on fire, but because like the way that alerts are coming in, or the way that people can't find information, or just like this compounding effect of like, you know, you have a lot of noisy alerts, so these things keep firing. You can't even start investigating because by the time you start, there's another one going. Like, just nuts. And the team has done such a good job to improve this kind of thing that like it shifts where your it shifts where it feels like you have a pain point. So instead of being like, oh my god, my phone won't stop buzzing because I have, you know, a million alerts, it's like, no, I don't have a million alerts. Like, I've been on call, this is Wednesday now, I think I've had two paging alerts, and I think that both of them were literally just partners that were like, I have a question, and like, I need to talk to an on-call engineer to get some information. So even that's a really good example of this pattern shifting, where it's like, it's not, oh my goodness, everything's on fire. It's like, there's people that have questions they need answered. So what I experienced on my previous team was, and they'd already been doing this before I joined, but it's like, you got questions that need answered? Cool, let us put that information in front of you. Here's where you go find the answers to that stuff. Right? They got dashboards, they got spots where you can go look. So as a deployment team, you want to know how long it's going to take to have something deployed? Go look here. You want to know what version of the software has, you know, your fix in it or your feature change? Go look here. Right? Like, they have all of these things for you to go answer those questions for yourself. And they were expanding on them, building on them, because there's always going to be questions that people have. So great, go build tools to give them the answers. And I feel like for us, that's a very natural progression, because now that's starting to surface. It's like, I'm not getting paged every second, but I am getting lots of people asking me questions, and rightfully so, right? They have services. If something's not working from their perspective, and we're the routing plane, they're like, I have a request that's being sent. It doesn't seem to work. Cool, that doesn't mean it's our fault. That doesn't mean it's the routing plane's fault, but it does mean that we're in a position where we can try and help them, right? And when you're, like, just to give you some perspective, if you're an on-call engineer and you're completely overloaded with, like, you know, I'm being paged nonstop, it seems like everything's on fire, I have to jump from thing to thing just to see if something's on fire, like, when someone reaches out and asks you a question, you're kind of like, dude, I'm busy putting out fires. Like, I can't help you, go away, because you literally don't have time to do it. Why is it so backed up here? You guys gotta let me in. You gotta let me in. This is nuts. So like, that's not happening now. We're not drowning in paging alerts, but people still have questions. So that's why I think it's a really good natural progression for us, where it's like, okay, we want to invest more into AI tooling. People have questions. Like, this seems like a perfect fit for us to go, cool, how do we make tools for you to go answer your questions? And like, we are the first guinea pigs of that, right? We're on call. We have to go answer these questions. There's parts of our service that, like, I don't work with all the time. I need to go check dashboards and go ask other people on the team what something means and look around and blah, blah, blah. But if we have some better AI tooling, instead of me having to go find the right, like, TSG, go find the right dashboards, go run these commands, like, I cannot wait to go ask AI and not bother someone. Like, that's going to be awesome. And then from there, we can evolve that into, like, partners asking us for information or how to fix something or what's going on. And then as an on-call, we're like, cool, let me go talk to, Copilot over here. Once that's working well, we can just go, hey, we have that functionality built into Copilot tools. Go ask Copilot. And I feel like over time, just building out more tooling like that so that you can get questions answered. I can't wait for that. I think that's going to be so helpful for everyone, right? Like, it's consistent ways to get information. You free up people's time, right? On-call engineers can really focus on things that are on fire that we don't have answers for, instead of let me go repeat the steps for something where, it's here's a step-by-step guide, go follow it to get the answer. Why should I have to do that? If it's a step-by-step guide to go investigate it, Copilot can go do that. That's how I see it. So yeah, I think that's a really big top of mind thing for me. At work, what is going on, buddy? That is not how that works. That person just made a single right turn lane that's already doubled up into 3 lanes. Interesting. Hello, Mercedes. I see you. Yeah, that's a big focus at work. Outside of work, Brand Ghost, we are this week especially just really trying to double down into reaching out to creators, people that do social media work and do cold outreach, right? We know we have to do it. I think, can't remember when I put the video out for it. Maybe it's not even posted. I don't know. I lose track of time. But I did talk about it in a video. I think it was my work in progress video. I think that's actually one that went out today or yesterday, something. And was talking about, what we need to be focusing on is more outreach. So, we talked about it and we're doing it. So we just got to keep that momentum, because the thing I get concerned about is we feel that pain, we do it, and then we're okay, we did it. That sucked, but we did it. Let's go back to let's go back to other things. And I think we just have to stay in the habit of doing it. But yeah, there's a couple people we're talking with to get some partnerships and stuff together that we're pretty excited about. So things are moving, right? It's I don't know. It's it's one of those weird things. I'll give you an example, right? So it's going to sound completely random, but when you see on social media, if you're someone who's not super active or whatever, you don't go to the gym a lot, and maybe that's been on your mind where you're I should get in better shape. You see fitness influencers online, and they're in 1 week you could have shredded abs. And so I've been going to the gym for a long time, as long as I've been programming, so over 20 years. And since I've been doing that, I've bulked up. I'm 5'4", I've been 200 pounds. I've been, on a bodybuilding stage. I've cut back down. So I have a general idea what it's like to kind of change weight and diet and all this kind of stuff, both directions for getting heavier and getting lighter. So I see this kind of stuff and I'm it doesn't faze me personally, but I'm it's bullshit. I know it's bullshit, but whatever. I'm not it's not affecting me personally. I see it and I'm okay, someone's selling something. But the comparison is when I see business, people talking about business, and they're we got, we had this idea, and overnight we had 10,000 customers. I'm what? How did 10,000 people even find out that you have a thing? That's not a repeatable process. If 10,000 people found out you had a thing, it's because you happen to have some weird viral thing. And I don't actually believe you. But part of me, it's because I haven't actually lived through that, where I'm hey, I had, You know, I've had a business that's had 10,000 users and blah, blah, blah. And like, I know what it takes to get there. I see these things and I'm like, well, why not us? Like, why isn't that happening to us? So I have this weird comparison where like for gym and fitness stuff, I'm like, oh, whatever, I know that's snake oil, blah, blah, blah. But for stuff with business, I'm like, oh, like, where's the get rich quick scheme? Like, where's that path? Like, where's the button to press for that? You know, where's the pill to to get 1,000 users? It's kind of weird. You go ahead, buddy. I'll let you through. I'll let you through. Oh my goodness, you're gonna have an accident. That's what happens when you help too many people, right? Amazing. We almost got to see it, folks, and by we, I mean me. You couldn't see it. Someone was trying to pull in and someone was trying to pull out, and they went into the same lane, and they had to, you know how it is. Yeah, so it's kind of interesting because it's a slow journey, but like I feel like it's one of those things, like the reason a lot of people just aren't super successful doing this kind of stuff is because they're like, wow, that's hard, that takes a long time, screw that, right? But if you just don't stop doing it and you keep putting in the effort, it's like, it's kind of like hard to, it would be really difficult to not have some kind of success with it if you just kept putting in effort on like the right things, I guess. But I feel like you could still get a bunch of those things wrong, and if you put in effort for a prolonged period of time, despite doing a lot of wrong things, you can still have success. So I got to keep reminding myself, like, it's not going to happen overnight. Keep chipping away at it. Lots to learn. So I think that's it though, folks. Thanks for hanging out. It's just about to pull onto my street here. Friendly reminder though, this channel is driven by your questions. So if there's no questions, I go to Experience Dev subreddit, and if Experience Dev subreddit sucks, you hear me blab. So send in your questions in the comments, and if you want to submit them anonymously, just go to codecommute.com. I will try my best to answer your software engineering and career development questions as best I can. You gotta wait for me to back into my spot here on Fancy Wednesday. We did it. Yay. Cool. Okay, thanks folks. I will see you in the next video. Take care.